All right, Cancer and Cancer rising. This shift into Aquarius is just piling on into the area of personal transformation, but also a deep sense of, looking at your psychological processes. That eighth house is really packed up. And the last year, you've been looking really at how you react to other people. How am I interacting with my partner? How am I sharing what I have to share with the outer world? When all this stuff goes into the eighth house, it's really a more deep self-inquiry process where you're looking more at, how am I in relationship to myself? What pieces of myself, what old traumas, what old wounds, what areas of my healing are ready for me to transmute into power? That's the eighth house. The other thing is we're looking at the moon and whatever the moon is doing. And the moon is in a quarter square aspect. I think it's the last quarter moon. Yeah. So whenever we have that 90-degree angle between the moon and the sun, that is a tense aspect. It's also a moment to act on some of the things that you planted the seeds of in that new moon that we had on the 12th. And if you've been following me on these lives, I talked about that new moon as being very fertile for planting seeds, although somewhat problematic at the same time. Those seeds may take a while to germinate. Now is the time that, we look at what we planted and we say, okay, what needs to be tweaked? What needs to be adjusted? How do I need to act on this in a new way? And for Cancer, this is really in the area of friendship. And I want to say letting go, but also goals and letting go. And this could be financial. This could have something to do with money loaned to a friend. That would be one way I could see it. But also the ways that you are invested maybe in the crises of a friend. Cancer is very nurturing. Cancer is often the mother figure of their social group. And with this moon in a square aspect to some of the things in the eighth house, there's some tension maybe. There may be some tension building with a friend that involves money. That's always a tricky spot. And this is a week where you may kind of confront that issue and look at it and say, you know what, I do need to make some changes here. I do need to take some action and set some boundaries. And maybe those boundaries aren't super fun. The other way this could be acting out in your life is tension around your goals. That's 11th house. Goals that you have set for yourself that are now coming up against a financial challenge. Maybe you owe some money. Maybe you're waiting for a loan. Maybe you're one of those folks who are waiting for that government check and you can't really make any decisions until that arrives. And so that becomes somewhat frustrating. I think that's a good enough amount of material. You still have Venus and Pluto in that 7th house, Cancer, opposing your sun or your rising sign. So there is support available. It does feel like there's support available. And a lot of the tension that you've been dealing with all of 2020 has lifted. However, it does feel like there's some other tension now financially, that some of this tension has moved to a different area of your life. Aquarius and Cancer do not have the best alignment. So there's still some uncomfortableness there that will be managed through the Mercury retrograde until we get into the Pisces season and Cancer things sort of lift for Cancer in a more significant way than they have with this shift out of Capricorn into Aquarius.